Hello and welcome everybody to our October 25th, 2023 meeting of the Google Educator Group of Ohio. So happy to be learning with you here today. A little bit of housekeeping before we dive on into our meeting today. First of all, a little bit about these meetings. These are monthly meetings where we take a look at everything new in Google and how it affects education. We'll be sharing updates, news, tips, tricks, Q's and A's, all about using Google in education. And we're excited to have you here. This is the Google Educator Group of Ohio, but if you're not from Ohio, that's okay. As long as you have an interest in using Google tools in education, we are so happy to have you here with us today. A couple of quick introductions. Hi, my name is Eric Kurtz. I am a technology integration specialist. I work for the Stark County Educational Service Center, specifically for Spark, the Information Technology Center here in Northeast Ohio, serving about 35 school districts on how to use Google tools and other technology in the classroom. I'm joined by John. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. John Mansell-Pladel. I'm Supervisor Professional Learning with Northern Buckout Education Council, and we're in Archbold, Ohio, and we service about 40 school districts in the northwest corner of Ohio.
Excellent. Now, we do have some other folks who typically join us depending upon their schedule, trying to cover different portions of the state as well. We may see Denny, we may see Stephanie jumping in later. I don't think Sarah is able to today. I think she has a conflict, but between the three of them, we may have some of them joining us based upon some of their availability as well. As always, you can get to our resource document that we're going to be working through here today. And the easiest way, if you're watching this recorded or if you don't have access to the chat, is just to head over to bit.ly/GEG Ohio. That is our GEG Ohio website. And the link is always available there for the agenda document. So if I head on over to the GEG Ohio website, and if I go to the monthly meetings link, you'll see if I scroll on down there, there's a section where we have all of the meetings. So here is today's meeting. There's the agenda document and the live video for that. Now, for those that are here, I'll just drop this right into the chat. If you don't have it open yet, I'll go ahead and pop that into our YouTube chat, and that'll make sure you can get into that document. This document is editable, and so we're encouraging you, please add to this. There's a couple of spots in here for sure where that would make sense. There's a spot here about upcoming events. So if you know about some upcoming trainings, virtual events, conferences, things that people may want to take advantage of, please add those in there. I'd say another great spot to add things into the agenda would be in the show and tell section. There's a portion a little further down which includes the community show and tell. We've already got some people starting to add some things in there, so that's fantastic. Please do exactly that. We'd love to have you share the things that you have come across recently in the community show and tell. And then lastly, there's our Q&A section. If you got questions, drop them in there, and throughout the meeting, hopefully between John, myself, and everybody else who's attending, we'll be able to provide some responses for those. Excellent. All right. Well, let's go ahead, and I'm going to take our banner off here because I don't think we need that covering up anymore. And tell you what, John and I will disappear in the background here, and we'll just focus on the sharing of the actual document here. So let's go ahead and get on into our meeting this month. We've already done the quick little welcome and introductions there. Do want to, as always, point out the important links. One of the big ones being the sign-in form. This is a form that allows us to send you a certificate of attendance for attending the meetings. Go ahead and fill that out, pick today's date there, submit that, and sometime between now and the next meeting, I'll run Autocrat and get those certificates generated and sent out to you. We appreciate that. Next up, I want to remind you guys that you can always join the GEG Ohio Google group so that you can stay connected in between meetings. This is a fantastic email group. I think we've got close to 1,500 people in that group. Wonderful way to ask questions, share resources, stay in the loop on so many things. Great way to stay connected in between our meetings. So if you haven't done that yet, please consider doing that. Next up, we've got our upcoming events. Now, some of these are a little more Ohio-centric since this is GEG Ohio, but there's a lot of stuff here that anybody can take advantage of. So, for example, the very first one here, CuraCon. This is a virtual conference going on right now. Well, not this minute, but this week. It's in the evening each day. But this Monday through Friday, CuraCon virtual conference is going on. This is the people who do Curipod or Curipod. I say Curipod. I'm not sure exactly. I should ask them the proper pronunciation. It comes from curiosity is where the word comes from. If you're not familiar with Curipod, it's one of the amazing AI tools out there that its focus is creating interactive slideshows. So kind of like, think of something sort of like a Pear Deck or a Nearpod type of an idea, but you're creating a slideshow, a presentation that has interactive features in it. And now they have AI built into that to be able to create these slideshows for you so easily, so many awesome tools. Well, this conference is not just about their tool. It is a conference about AI in general. So there's lots of great people, Leslie Fisher and Matt Miller and Dan Fitzpatrick and John Carippo and all these great people. They even let some people like Eric Kurtz present there as well. So, I'm not sure I can vouch for their standards entirely. Somehow I snuck in there as well among all of these other fantastic, amazing people. So if you want to take advantage of that, it's totally free. It's running each evening this week, and you say, "Oh no, I've already missed 2 days." Don't worry, it's all recorded. You can go back and you can listen to Jen Hall from the first day and Matt Miller from yesterday. You can get to all of those recordings as well. So I believe there's like a registration link at the very bottom there somewhere. Well, maybe it's at the top. It's on that page. There, it's at the very top. There it is. Register now. So you can register to get the links to all of the videos for that. I'm doing one on Thursday night. So my session is about using AI as your teaching assistant. So how can we use AI to save us time? One thing we have the least of is time. And so basically we'll be focusing on, sure, Curipod, but also other, tools, other AI tools that can just help us save time with routine tasks we need to do as educators so we can spend more time working with our students. So I would love to have you join me live for that. But if not, you can always catch the recording afterwards as well. Now, besides that, there's loads of upcoming events, as you can see here, lots and lots and lots and lots of these. I know I'm presenting at some of these, like GAETC, that's the Georgia Educational Technology Conference. I'll be at that next week. FETC down in Florida, I'll be at that one. And McCall in Michigan, I will be at that one. So I will be at some of these others I know about, but won't be attending in person. Learn 21, great conference here in Ohio. The Google, the Michigan Google conference that John Sowash helps organize. That's always a great one as well. TCEA down in Texas, not going to be there this year, but would love to get back to that one at some point in the future. OETC here in Ohio as well. Excited for that. The AI workshop at the ESC of Northeast Ohio. There's some details on that, and the Ohio STEM PLC meeting. Now, John, is there anything here you would like to speak to? Like I said, I know about a couple of these things, but some of them I don't have as much details on. Anything you wanted to add?
I only added I added I added McCall into there. That's one that we love to go to.
Yes, yes.
And I don't know who put the STEM PLC meeting, but that's interesting.
All right. Well, I appreciate do exactly what people are doing here. If you have an event to add, please do just this. I'm looking forward to clicking on these and taking a closer look at some of these upcoming opportunities. So please keep doing that throughout the meeting, and we'll swing back around at the end and see if anything else has been added into that. Good stuff. Oh, I did see that Peggy said that CuraCon has been great so far. Yes, there have been 2 days of it already. She's got a few to catch up on. I likewise have some to catch up on there too. But that's what I'm so happy about is the fact that they are getting recorded. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to catch several of those. That is great. All right. Well, again, a lot of people saying hi in the chat. Please keep doing that. So hi, Laura. I see just said hi. Karen said hi. Several other people are saying hi as well. Appreciate you guys being with us here today. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on into one of the big chunks of our meeting each month, which is what's new in Google Workspace for Education. The idea behind this is we just want you to be informed of all the new changes and updates and features so that you're not caught off guard, so that you can prepare your teachers for these changes, and so you can make the most out of them. So what we do is we try to keep an eye all throughout the month on any time something gets announced, and we add it to the document here. So you can see we pick up right from the last meeting. Our last meeting was like September, 26th or something like that, or whatever. I don't remember. But right after that, we pick up here. And so there were several, big announcements that came out at the end of September. So we pick up there and through October all the way up until today. So we won't go through everything here. There's always too much to cover. So I just try to pick out a few. You'll notice the ones I picked out because I put them in bold. So anything that you see with a bold date, those are the ones that I'm going to go ahead and show. But hey, please click on any of these. If there's something I didn't pick as one to look at, all the resource links are here, and you can follow each of these to find out more about them. And of course, let us know, ask questions. If you've got a question about one of these, drop it in the chat or add it as a comment here in our document. If you've got some insight onto one of these you would like to share, we'd love to learn from you. All right. And all throughout this, John, feel free to jump in at any point with any questions or comments or observations you have on these as well. All right, let's get on into what is new in Google Workspace from the last month. So the first thing that I went ahead and pulled out was an update to Google's generative AI in search. So this is not something new. We've had this option for a while. It's something called Search Labs, and you can go and actually it's their I guess Search Labs is the correct word for it. It covers a number of things. It's not just search, but that is the general term we use for it. And with Search Labs, I'll go ahead and pull over my Search Labs screen so you can see. So for example, this is on my personal account. I went to labs.google.com/search, and I was able to sign up for various Search Labs that they have. Now, at the moment, these are not available on Workspace accounts. So I did use my personal account to try this out. Well, what they've said is they're now expanding who's allowed to sign up for these Search Labs to include teenagers from 13 to 17 in the US. So now more people are able to go to that Search Labs website and sign up for that. So again, I'll pull my Search Labs tab over here. Again, that is Labs, and I can go ahead and I can drop that link directly in if anybody wants that in the agenda. How about if I just add that on to the end of this so that it's easy to find? That's the actual link for the Search Labs. Again, you will need to be using a personal Google account to be able to access this, but you can go ahead and sign up for the Search Labs and turn these different ones on. The one they're talking about specifically is, for example, the generative AI in search. And I think I've shown this before, but I'll demonstrate it again real quick for you. So the idea is if I'm a student and I'm reading an article about Halloween and I want to get some more details about this particular article or whatever the article is, I can come up here to the top right-hand corner of my Chrome browser and click on the little G icon up there. And that opens up the Google search side panel. And one of the options in there is to get AI generated key points, but that's only there because I signed up for the Search Labs. And so now if I come here and click on generate, what's going to happen is Google's AI is going to read the article and then generate some key points about that article for me. Now, again, this is just, again, a lab, meaning they're testing it out. They're trying it out. My guess is this is just going to become standard. Like everybody's just going to have this. For right now, though, they're testing it out. I even see on here it indicated that this runs through December of 2023. So it sounds like we're just testing it out now for the next few months. After that, my assumption would be this will just be baked into Chrome in the Google search bar over there. But for now, you can access it through these search tools. Good stuff. All right. Let me go ahead and move that out of the way there, and we will get back into what we're taking a look at here. I got a bunch of a bunch of windows, always trying to keep track of all of my tabs here. All right. So from something that is getting expanded to something that is getting shut down. Oh no, yes. So right after we had our last meeting, like the next day after it, Google announced that they're shutting down Jamboard. Yeah, really unfortunate news for that to come out. Maybe not surprised, but definitely an unfortunate update. So Jamboard we've had for quite a while. And it is the digital whiteboard tool from Google. There is a physical actual Jamboard device you can get that is an actual like a standing board that you can write on. But I think most of us are more familiar with the Jamboard app, the tool itself. And so Jamboard, I think it got really popular during the pandemic. That became one of the times it really took off because people needed a whiteboard, a digital whiteboard to be able to collaborate with students and show work on and so forth. And Jamboard was a really simple, easy solution for that. Unfortunately, it's a tool that just really didn't get a lot of development over the years. If I had to think, I'm not even sure I can remember the last time there was an update to Jamboard. It's been, it feels like years since it had been updated. So the writing was kind of on the wall that Google was not putting a lot of emphasis on Jamboard. They have decided that by the end of 2024, next year, they will be shutting it down entirely. So there's a little bit of a timeline here letting you know that starting in October of 2024, you can't make any new jams. Between then and the end of the year, you can just view your existing jams. And then as of December 31st of next year, that's it. It's just absolutely shutting down. No more access to Jamboard. Now, initially they said all the jam files would be deleted. I think they had an addendum to that they're now going to convert any jam files into PDFs, I believe is what was said, so that at least you could still access a view-only version of them. So what does this mean? A lot of folks love Jamboard. There's a lot of good uses. I've done trainings on it. I've shared loads of activities with it. There's a lot of really devoted people to using Jamboard, and especially for younger students, it's such an easy tool. It's very user-friendly, not too many bells and whistles. What we're doing going forward, Google is suggesting that we move to a different interactive whiteboard tool. And they've suggested several of those, including FigJam, LucidSpark, Miro, and they've been working closely with these other tools to try to make the process less painful. And so the gist is between now and when things shut down, there will be, if there's not already, there may already be, but there will be transition tools like export tools where you'll be able to go in and export your Jamboard files into FigJam or into LucidSpark or into Miro so that you can replicate them inside of these other whiteboard tools. Now, with that said, the one I'm most familiar with there would be FigJam. I have done stuff with Lucid in the past as well, and they're fantastic. I definitely want to revisit. In the past, I've used Lucid Press, I've used Lucid Chart. Lucid has definitely been around for a long time, and I do want to revisit that. But I'm personally most familiar with FigJam. FigJam, I've actually shared a blog post and a little video on them in the past as well. And the beauty about FigJam is it's just flat out free. It's completely free for education. So there's a paid, version that that businesses would use, but schools get the paid premium version absolutely free. It's not a watered down version. It's the whole thing with all of the features. So to help with this, a lot of people have been doing a great job of sharing resources. I did host 2 webinars on this in response to Jamboard being shut down. And so if you do want to access those, you can follow the resource links that I've got down here. These are hour-long webinars with David Curran. He is from Figma. which is the company that runs FigJam, but he has been an educator. He comes from the classroom. And so David was the presenter. I was the host. I was, I'd ask some questions and interject now and then, but David was definitely running the show for these. There's an intro webinar that's an hour long, and then I've also got an advanced one that was the following week where we followed up with another hour there as well. The first one we cover all of the basics of using FigJam, and the second one we get more into like questions that came up in the first session that we didn't have time to answer everything there. In addition to those videos, we also have a Q&A document that we used during the session, and that has loads and loads and loads of questions and answers and other resources in there. I've pulled some of those key resources out here as well, including, how to sign up for FigJam totally for free for your school, some additional, templates and help videos and more things like that to get folks started, and a really nice FAQ document here for, hey, if I'm going from Jamboard to FigJam, what do I need to know? Really nice FAQ that breaks down pretty much everything you would need to know about making that transition. Now, again, I'm not the only one who's been doing this. A lot of people have been doing a great job of sharing these resources out there, but I'm happy to at least provide a couple there that can help get people started with that transition while we still have a year to have that happen. All right, so let's just pause there for a second. John, I don't know, what is your take on the Jamboard, shutdown and the new options we have available? What's your thoughts?
I think that there was enough overlap between it and what they're trying to do with Google Slides that perhaps they felt that it just didn't, with the because we're not doing the remote nearly as much as we were, and we don't need the features that are like built into Meet to be able to have a whiteboard there, that I guess they want to put their development dollars elsewhere. So and there are these other viable products that are out there that it's kind of like if you remember back in the day, Apple used to incorporate technologies that would put other companies out of business. It's like the reverse of that. So
right,
it's like the reverse Sherlock, where Google discontinues a product and it opens up the opportunities for these other companies to come in and with arguably better products. I think Dan makes the point. He thinks the ability to import Jamboard files. Well, I mean, if they've done anything, they've standardized a file format that that we can use at least to get the content across. I wish you could say the same thing about interactive whiteboards, because that's an area where there's still a whole lot of competition, and everybody's in different camps. At least I think this forces people to start thinking about alternatives, and there are some good ones out there.
Yeah, so that's a good point. That thanks for mentioning Dan's comment that for him, FigJam is going to be the winner. Yeah, FigJam again is the one I'm most familiar with. So just comparing apples to apples, yes, it has lots more features, way more features than Jamboard. On one hand, that can be a little intimidating, and I get that. That is, there's a learning curve in that sense. You don't have to use all the tools; you can just use the basic stuff. But there's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So I think it is a more powerful product than Jamboard, FigJam, as well as Lucid and Miro and those other ones as well. Jamboard just didn't get updates. There just really wasn't anything new getting developed for it for many, many years, while other tools just continued to develop. So yes, we're definitely trading up if you go to FigJam or Lucid or Miro. But at the same time, I think there were things about Jamboard, maybe the simplicity. Like I said, I think the simplicity was one of the things that was attractive about it, especially when working with younger students. It didn't have a ton of buttons. It was very straightforward and very simple to use. I definitely think it could have gotten better. There are things that I think it needed if it was going to stay relevant. Yep, that seems to be one of Google's newer philosophies. I remember, I don't know, a year or so ago, I was speaking with somebody who had mentioned that that was sort of a new way of thinking with Google, which was, you know, maybe it's not that they have to develop the absolute best of the best of a particular tool, but they need to find what are some of the best ones out there and make sure they integrate well. Like, okay, maybe we don't have to make the world's best video editor, but if we work really well with, all these other tools, then that would be a positive for all of the users. So it seems like that is the approach that they are taking. They're sort of deciding what are their core tools that they will develop and support. And then after that, seeking out some of the best of the tools that are out there and just making sure that they play nicely in the Google ecosystem so everybody gets along well. Yeah.
And I think the fact that they're trying to build an ecosystem that works for many people, and the idea that that they're not, and we can be sad because it's one of a long line of things that Google doesn't have anymore that some people really enjoyed. But
right.
I think there are more things that we don't know that exist in Google than we know exist, and so for a lot of people it was like, okay, I'm not that worried about it. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, maybe it's appropriate that maybe it's appropriate because it's around Halloween time.
I love it.
This is not the only site that does this. There's some other ones out there, but killedbygoogle.com is one of them, where it keeps track of projects and tools that have been shut down over time. Now, some of them, it's not like a bad thing. It's just like, it ran its course and a new version came out or something like that. But no, there's a lot here that truly did get the guillotine here. And so, for example, Jamboard is listed in there, as one of the most recent ones to go. And if we go back over the years, there's quite a bunch of them that have hit a little closer to home. I think for schools was when Expeditions got shut down. That one, and Tour Builder. I would say Tour Builder even more than Expeditions. As much as I loved Expeditions, not everybody had the devices. Well, Tour Builder, you didn't need the devices. You could just build your own tours and watch them on anything. And Tour Creator, Tour Builder and Tour Creator. They both got knocked out at the same time there.
I think that also that ended up taking the wind out of the sails of virtual reality.
Yes,
certainly in schools, because it was Google Cardboard was so affordable, and there were so many things that you could do with it. And it's still there as a technology, and people are still trying to do it, but it's quite expensive, and it's on the more difficult and the of the kinds of activities that you could try to take on as a teacher.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I see some activity in the chat. So yeah, feel free in the chat to mention what are you missing? What was killed by Google that you miss the most?
Well,
and feel free if you want to go to that website. I'll drop it in the chat there if that makes it easier for people to jump on over to the site and take a look at it. Are there some here that still burn a little bit, still hurt a little bit when you look back through and see something that went away? I'll take a look here in the chat. It looks like we've got, let me see, Allo, Wave, and Plus. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Google Plus. Absolutely. I mean, I think it was so mishandled, unfortunately, as a social media tool, but it was a really good tool. And the communities that were built on that, the education communities, they were massive. We had massive education communities that were active, sharing and supporting each other. And that was definitely a shame to see that go away. Matt's mentioning, hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? Mentioning Tour Builder. Yep, I'm with you there. Oh, miss that so much. Juan is chiming in on Google Plus as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to check Google Domains, because that's actually one that I was using.
Yes,
it was
me too.
It had a nice tie-in with Google Sites.
Yes, so they have shut that down, and it's switched over to oh shoot, I don't remember. I'm going to draw a blank at the moment, but that's okay. Squarespace. There we go.
Oh,
Squarespace.
gotcha.
I knew it was there. So Google Domains, they have transferred all of their assets over to Squarespace. So all the domains still work. It's just you have a different company managing them now.
Right.
Now that might change like the
Right.
pricing, or it might change support. I don't know. But yeah, John, I'm with you. It was so convenient when doing like a Google site or blogger or something like that. I had a bunch of domains through
Right.
there and they've all been transferred over. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the only way that you could get a Google site so that it would have the domain name would resolve for all of the sublinks on the website. It didn't say sites.google.com
Right.
/ a whole long URL.
Well, yeah, and there may be another way to do it, but it was the way I did it. It was the
Yeah.
easiest. It was the absolute easiest way to
Right.
do that. There may be probably is some other option, but no, that's exactly what I did. That's how I would do for Google Sites. Absolutely. Yep. Seeing Karen mention about expeditions. Yep, absolutely. She had a grant to purchase 2 expedition kits from Best Buy. Yes. That was a shame. Now I go way back. I don't know where I have to find it in here. I guess I could do a search, but one of the ones I really missed was Reader. I wonder if they got, yep, there it is, Google Reader. So that was back in 2013. Oh my goodness, 10 years ago. And I'm still mourning the loss 10 years later. It was a great RSS reader. Of course, I've moved on to other ones since, and they do a fantastic job. But that was one that I definitely missed. Way back then. Yeah, that's been quite a while ago. But all right. Well, hey, I appreciate people chiming in and sharing some of the things that they miss. And yeah, it is a tough thing because with Google, there's a tendency to try a lot of stuff, and that comes with the flip side of the coin. Not everything sticks. They innovate a lot. They try a lot of new interesting things. They don't all stick, and so things do get shut down. It's like a pro and a con. You got to kind of roll with that. Sometimes it hits a little harder than others. I think Jamboard is definitely going to be one that is going to be missed, but I hope that with FigJam and Lucid and Miro and some tools like that, we will not give up on using interactive whiteboards with our students, but we can actually move forward and do some more advanced things with them as well. All right. Did I miss anything in the chat? It's been flying here. My goodness, there is a lot in the chat. If you see something that I missed, let me know. I'm seeing Eddie was saying he really liked the simplicity of Jamboard. I'm with you there. I absolutely am. That I think having something designed for little ones would certainly be nice. I see Josh was wondering if Google's going to show some more support for Chrome Canvas. So I think Chrome Canvas is a great tool. If you're not familiar with it, I'm just going to have to Google it because I don't remember if it's canvas.chrome.apps. It's canvas.apps.chrome. I always reverse them. I always forget which way it goes. But Chrome Canvas. Yeah, this is just a really nice whiteboard, a simple, very simple whiteboard. You pick a color, you pick a size and, of your drawing tool. Then you've got, pencils, you've got a pen, you've got a marker, you've got chalk, and of course, an eraser. And that's really it. That really is it. It is just that simple. But it's great if you're just needing a quick whiteboard to work something out on. You can also upload an image and annotate on the image, but it's not collaborative. It doesn't have, it's one of those tools that certainly could be developed, more could be done with it. But as it is right now, I recommend it definitely if you're just having maybe a student record themselves using like Google Screencast to record themselves solving a math problem or something. It's a great tool for that. But yeah, thanks, Josh, for bringing that up there as well.
And Eric, just not to forget for the really younger students, that a lot of the built-in features in the free version of Seesaw
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Very simple to use, and although it doesn't have the same sort of the ability to share it with multiple people, but you can certainly create templates that each student writes on. It's got built-in recording tools. It's a very low impact tool to use with kindergarten through second grade. I would recommend it.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, that's a tool that I really don't use, but I've sat in on some sessions and conferences explicitly because I'm like, I need to understand this tool better. I don't have an occasion to use it much in my life, but I have sat in on sessions and just been blown away by the simplicity, but the robustness of it. It's a very powerful tool. So Seesaw's great. Louise says that the death of Google Plus killed off GEG Columbia. And that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's how GEGs began. So way back, we were told, okay, Google said we want these things called Google Educator Groups, but we're not going to create them. It has to be grassroots. It has to be from educators. We will not create them. We will not maintain or manage them. You have to do it. What we're asking, though, is that you do it with our new tool called Google Plus and build a community. And so, there was a GEG Ohio community that was thriving on there. And we absolutely had to pivot when that got shut down. We had to find new ways for people to still be able to connect, which is why we went to the Google group instead. So we use the email group. That we have found to be the best way, at least at the moment, for people to stay connected. All right. Well, we probably do need to keep on moving. I think we could talk a lot about not just Jamboard, not just other tools, but also Google's propensity to try new things and unfortunately shut some things down. But before we do, I'm taking one last little look down through the list to see if there's anything else we mentioned there. Thomas saying RSS is underappreciated. Thomas, I am with you. I think RSS is still such a powerful tool for those that aren't familiar with that. That stands for Real Simple Syndication, and it's what you use to be able to subscribe to, for example, blogs. And that's what I do with currently the one I'm using is the InnoReader or InnoReader, INOReader.com, InnoReader. Ryan Collins tipped me off to this one. I was using Feedly, and Feedly's great, but InnoReader or InnoReader, the free version supports up to 150 feeds. And so, that's how I find out how do I get all this Google stuff each month? How do we come up? How do we know all these new things? Well, I've got a category in my InnoReader. I'm just going to call it InnoReader because I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I've got a category here of Google blogs, and I've got a couple dozen Google blogs. And so I can just come and click on Google, and there we go. I can read the headlines from all of those different blogs, and I can just go boop, 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 right down the list and see what's happening new. And that's what I do, several times a week. I'll go in and I'll go through all my ed tech blogs and my Google blogs and my education blogs. And that's how I stay up to date on everything. Basically, you just give a click. It gives you the preview. You can go out and read the whole article, but it brings hundreds of, at least 150 for free, 150 blogs, to me rather than me going out to them. So yes, I definitely agree that RSS is underappreciated. That is so true. All right. Anything else in there that we missed? Looks pretty good. Daryl saying, as long as they never kill Blob Opera, I'll be okay. All right, Daryl. And I'm glad you have drawn your line in the sand. It's Blob Opera. That's where Daryl decides that things are okay or not. Okay.
Okay. Eric, I just looked at what that is. And yeah, definitely you should check out the link, but not in the meeting. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Oh, and Jessica said she appreciates the InnoReader playlist. I have. If you want my list of all my blogs, I've shared them. If you go to Control-Alt-Achieve and you look for InnoReader in the search, InnoReader, I shared it. Yeah, back here. I think this must be the one. Let's take a look if this is in fact it. Back in April, I think I was sharing about iKnowReader. Yep, there it is. And these are my feeds. So if you just want to grab my feeds, they're right here. You can just download them and import them right into there. So I'll drop this link into the chat as well if anybody wants to jump out to that. But if you just search for iKnowReader on my blog, you'll find this April EdTech Links of the Week entry. And on that, I give a little blurb about what iKnowReader is all about. But then here are links to my feeds. So if you want to get all my Google feeds, my 21 Google feeds, this is the link to download that link file. Then you can go into iKnowReader and you can import it. And boop, it'll just populate them all for you. And there's my 89 EdTech feeds and stuff like that. So feel free to take advantage of those. All right, good stuff. Excellent. All right. Well, let's keep on moving. We got lots of other good stuff to look at here. So next up, Google Bard got some updates here recently. And one of them that hasn't come out yet, but has been, I guess, previewed to some folks, is their memory feature. So what's that all about? Well, the idea is right now, Google Bard does not remember anything in between your prompts. Like if I go and I ask it something and then I come back, tomorrow and I ask it something else, it doesn't remember that we had, that other conversation, unless I'm still in the same conversation thread. Well, this is apparently a new feature that's I have not seen it yet. It has not made it to me yet. It hasn't shown up for me, but there's supposedly going to be an option to add this little memory section on the side where you can create memories, where you can say, okay, these are things about me, like they give examples saying, I have 2 kids, or please give shorter responses, or I try to avoid eating meat. You can tell Bard things about you so that it remembers them, so that anytime you ask something in the future, it's always using this context when it's giving you your answers. Now, you always have the option to turn off memory for a particular request if you just want a generic anonymous type of a response. So this makes me think a lot of ChatGPT with I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, shoot. What is it called? Hold on. Let me pull up ChatGPT. Yeah, see, that's what happens when you get old, guys. You can't remember stuff. So in ChatGPT, shoot, what's it called? If I come down here, go into my setting. Oh, custom instructions. Yeah, custom instructions. That's what it was. I couldn't remember there for a second what it was. Yeah, custom instructions. So you can define in ChatGPT specific directions for all of your chats. And so I feel that Google is basically trying to respond to custom instructions with what they're calling memory. Again, hasn't shown up for me yet, but I think that'd be great. That'd be really nice to be able to have that as an option so I can get more personalized responses as time goes on there. All right. There's a couple more Bard things, and we will hit those as we go, but that was the first one chronologically there. All right. So let's go ahead and move into October. Before we do, I did see Peggy asked what an OPML link was. So Peggy, I'm not sure what the words are that go with that, but that is the link to the list of sites that I am subscribed to in the iKnowReader tool. The OPML format is a text format like HTML or things like that just lists all of the sites that I am subscribed to. And that's the format that iKnowReader and many RSS readers use to be able to share a list of sites. All right. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at October. So what happened in October? So far this month, one of the things happened was that Google announced something called Chromebook Plus. Now, there's a bunch of resources here. I would say the second and third are the ones that are the blog posts from Google, where they were talking about Chromebook Plus, how it's going to affect the way you teach, and also talking about the capabilities of these devices. I did also a blog post about this. I just called it, Can a Chromebook Be Your Primary Computer? Where I was talking about Chromebook Plus. And then there's been great articles from About Chromebooks, Chrome Unboxed, 9 to 5 Google. So there's a lot here. Basically, what does this come down to? So the gist behind all of this is basically Google just wants to be able to differentiate entry-level Chromebooks from higher end Chromebooks. And so they had to decide what's going to be the distinguishing characteristics. And so this is what they came up with. So to be a Chromebook Plus Chromebook, it has to have the following things: at least an Intel i3 processor or above, at least 8 gigabytes of RAM or above, at least 128 gigabytes of storage or above, a high resolution full HD webcam, and a full HD display. So the thing is, that's not usually the case with most Chromebooks. If you look at, a typical student Chromebook, it's probably not going to have those specs. You're probably going to have a Celeron processor. You're probably going to have 2 or 4 gigabytes of RAM, probably 32 gigabytes of storage. The webcam is going to be a 720p. The display is going to be not, full HD. And so this is definitely a step above what you're going to buy for just if you're buying 500 Chromebooks for students, you're probably not getting something with this much power. But the idea is, what about the cases where you need that? What about saying having teachers using Chromebooks? I know for a lot of times we think of students using Chromebooks, but I've seen more and more schools start to say, hey, if a teacher wants a Chromebook, that can be their primary device. You can have a PC, or you can have a Mac, you can have a Chromebook. And so I've seen schools start to move that way. Well, in a case like that, you probably do want something a little beefier than an entry-level Chromebook, with the amount of tasks that a teacher is going to be doing, or somebody who's using the Chromebook for more advanced usage. So that's what this is about, is that basically Google is saying, hey, this is the new designation. If it's called Chromebook Plus, it meets these specs. Now, in addition to meeting those specs, it's also getting some neat bells and whistles along with it. In my blog post, I tried to spell these out here as well. So for example, it's getting some built-in AI, the ability to use an AI assistant whenever you are, writing content on the Chromebook, the magic eraser tool in the Google Photos app to be able to remove unwanted, items in a picture, using AI in your video calls. So there's going to be extra things built into it software-wise as well that would not come with a traditional Chromebook. They're just going to be part of it. Now, what's really encouraging, though, is the pricing. They're going to try to keep them. I guess they have to fall within this range. I don't know if it's a set thing, but this is where they're at right now. $399 to $699, and $399, that's a decent entry point. If you're getting those specs at $399, that's not bad. That's really a reasonable price to be getting these specs in your device. Now, I did get to try one of these out. I've got it sitting next to me here. I tried out the Lenovo Flex 5i. That's the one that I tested out. They were kind enough to send me a demo model to try out, and so it definitely meets all those requirements plus a little bit more. It's got even a little bit more juice. It's an i5 and it's foldable and all those kind of things. And I really liked it. I absolutely, I thought it worked fantastic. It was zippy fast. I was able to open tons of tabs and programs and things, and it didn't slow down at all. The screen was really nice. It had a backlit keyboard, which I love. Really long battery life. The camera was fantastic. The full 1080p camera. I'm used to Chromebooks. Chromebooks usually have pretty sad cameras. Just to be honest, they really are usually kind of fuzzy. It's like this crystal clear camera. That was really nice. So all in all, I really did like it. I was really happy with it. I mentioned that, I do kind of like something a little bit larger. It's 14-inch, which is fine, but my eyes are getting worse. So I could have gone with something just a little bit bigger than that, but I really did appreciate it. So hey, if you're looking for a Chromebook, And maybe you're saying, hey, we want to start offering Chromebooks for our teachers. I think this would be a really important thing to look at. If you're going to give your teacher a Chromebook, don't set them up for frustration. Make sure, you're looking for a device that has some of, this level of power to allow them to be able to do all the multitasking that they need to do. So anyway, that's the Chromebook Plus. I don't know, John, thoughts on that? Have you seen educators, non-students using Chromebooks? Whoops, I think you're muted, John. Sorry.
Yep, sorry. Yes, actually, I there was a move probably even a couple of years ago to start transitioning teachers over from regular laptops to Chromebooks, and so I think this is going to be a great addition because it will give you a more professional level device for a teacher to use. I've always been a big proponent for giving people the device that they need to get whatever particular task they have done. So students, if they just need to do typing or most of the things that can be handled by one of those more entry-level Chromebooks, then that's an appropriate tool to use. If you want them to do video production, for example, maybe the Chromebook isn't the best device for them to use, but this at least allows the flexibility for tech directors to look at a more affordable device. I think what was the price point? About 500.
So these start out at $399.
Okay.
And so, that's the entry of the things that hit, which is, again, that's not bad. If you're hitting these things, so it's an i3, it's 8 gigs, it's, all that, $399, that's not bad. Now they do go up, if it becomes an i5 and if it has, some more features and stuff, but that's, in the past, you were starting out around 700 if you wanted to get that typically in a Chromebook.
Right.
And so this whole Chromebook Plus program, I don't know, I'm glad it's driven some prices down because that's a reasonable entry point for somebody who wants to have a more powerful Chrome device. Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff. I did see a little bit of chats in the comments there. Let me see. Luis said that they got to try some of these out at the Champions Symposium. Great. Awesome. I was not able to attend that this year. I already had obligations with trainings I was doing on those days, but that's great that you guys got to test those out as well. Good deal. Oh, I did see a little bit of conversation off this topic. So if there's nothing else on Chromebook Plus, I did see Tom. Hey, Tom, so good to have you here today. Really appreciate it. By the way, Tom has fantastic resources on FigJam. So for those who are working on that, transition from Jamboard to FigJam, Tom's just got such a great collection of videos to help you with that and blog posts and resources in that transition. But Tom was saying about missing Tour Builder, especially because there's not an alternative that does exactly what it did. And yeah, that is unfortunate. The closest thing we have, of course, is Google Earth and the project tool in Google Earth. And, it's not exactly the same, but with the project tool in Google Earth, we can create tours. It doesn't have the 3D images, or excuse me, the 360 images in it. It's not quite like that, although, yeah, you can go down into Street View and kind of simulate that a little bit. But you're right. We don't have a one-to-one comparison. Now, John, you'd mentioned 360 schools. What do you know about that?
Well, I was curious after reading the comments, so I just did a quick Google and I found 7 alternatives to Google Expeditions and Tour Creator.
Yeah.
And Google Arts and Culture, Google Street View, Google Earth, and then the 5th one was 360 Schools. So I took a bit of a look at that, and apparently they now offer guided tours and a tour creator for teachers. So that's that.
And I've gone to this site before, but it's one that I think I still need to learn more about.
And I was looking to see if it had a cost, and I couldn't see it because it's always like, well, it's good, but then they're going to start charging for it.
Yeah. Well, definitely one to take a look at. Yeah, I've got this in one of my long list of links, and I have
Right.
been to this site, but it's one that I just needed to dive into, and I really haven't yet. So that would be a good one to come back around to
So
and
the search
see.
engine prompt to find this good information was alternatives to Google Expeditions, and then
All right.
it's amazing what comes up.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, let's keep on going. Next up, this one's a really small one, but it's just maybe a funny story. So, new Google Calendar appointment scheduling features. Okay. So, I don't know how many people have used appointment scheduling. It's really slick. It's really nice. So this is the Google Calendar feature where you go in. It's kind of like appointment slots, but a little bit different. It's called appointment scheduling. You go in and you say, "Hey, I'm available from this time to this time, and in half-hour increments. And here's a link to sign up to book time with me." Um, Great tool. What makes it different than appointment slots is you don't have to have a Google account to book on it. That was one of the challenges of appointment slots was you had to have a Google account. And so that's fine if you're just trying to have people from your school book with you. But a lot of schools wanted to use this for like parent teacher conferences. And not every parent has a Google account, and so that didn't work real well. Well, appointment scheduling doesn't require that. And so this is great for parent teacher conferences. You can say, "Hey, I'm available this evening from blah blah blah, pick a time and sign up for me," and set, and it's great, fantastic, great way to do that. So I was doing a training, I don't know, this was October 3rd. I was doing a training on October 2nd, literally one day before this, on this topic on appointment scheduling for parent teacher conferences. That was the training. They're like, "Eric, we want you to show us how to do parent teacher conferences using appointment scheduling." And so I did. And the only problem was this used to be a different limit as to how short the appointments could be. It used to be the absolute shortest you could do was a 15-minute appointment. You couldn't go shorter than that. And I'm there training folks, and they're going, "Oh, this is such a cool tool. We need 10-minute appointments." I'm going, "Really?" They go, "Yeah, we move them through. It's 10 minutes and you're out." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I spent this whole time training them." And it's like, "No, 15 is it." The next day, Google posts this and says, "Okay, you can now go down to 5 minutes." So I don't know if they just heard me mourning and somehow they felt it through, I don't know now. But what a coincidence. So I wrote them an email the very next day. I go, "Hey guys, guess what? Guess what? Guess what?" I sent them an email the next day going, "Yeah, it turns out that they just changed this. So you're good to go." So for if you do want to do parent teacher conferences and you do need something less than 15 minutes, appointment scheduling is now even better than it was before. So there you go. John, I saw you having a couple responses about this. You said using Calendly, for example.
Yeah, I use Calendly, and I started using it during COVID because we could set up, and you're limited in the free version to you can only set up one kind of appointment, and it can be 20 minutes or 10 minutes or what, but you've only got one kind. But then they also included the integration with Zoom, so you can essentially somebody can make an appointment with you, and and you can join in as many calendars as you want to expose to Calendly, and so it sees when your free time is, and then it'll just give you the free spots. And I know a lot of not so many people in education, but I've run across a lot of people, vendors that we've dealt with recently that use that system. So
Yeah.
just so the educators know that the Zoom integration is free, and it does work. And as you said, the best reason for it would be a lot of districts that we have where people don't have Google accounts.
Yeah.
You were limited before, so
Right.
this allows you to have basically, as long as you've got a web browser, you can make an appointment.
Right. Well, and to those points, thank you for sharing that. It's always good to have options. For what it is worth, with appointment scheduling, it does integrate with Meet. So, like you mentioned, Zoom with Calendly, this does integrate with Meet. So when somebody is booking the appointment, you have the option to have it auto generate a Google Meet. And it does check multiple calendars. You can say, I want this to check all 5 of my calendars, and it can do that as well. So it has come a long, I love this tool. I use this when people want to book time with me. I'll share an appointment schedule, and it's so much easier than me listing out, well, here's my availability for the next week, so I really do like that.
And
as well.
Celeste had a comment, and I haven't looked at it yet, but Calendly just added the feature where, and I forget what the tool was that we use. But it's one where you set up a bunch of options for a meeting, and then people come in and they vote on which ones they would like, and then whichever ones has the most people ends up being the one that you schedule as the meeting. Now, what the heck was that called? I'm drawing a blank. You're right, Eric. The older
I tell you, what is it? We got to get some younger blood in here, John.
Yeah, we do. It was a doodle polls.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and we use those a lot. The main thing against doodle is when you tell someone that's never heard of it before, they go, "Really? It's called doodle?"
Yeah. I did see there was a question about Thomas had said, can you use appointment scheduling on personal accounts? I can, but I wonder, I'm just checking. Yes, I am able to use that on my personal Google account, but I also pay for like my Drive upgrade storage. So I think I've got what's called Google One. So maybe that's why I get it on that. Yep, I bet that's it. It's because I've got the Google One. Yeah, I pay for extra Drive storage. And so, yeah, it does multiple calendars. It does all those things. You can even get payment for appointments. You can do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I think it's because I do the Google One subscription. That's why I'm able to do that. All right. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Excellent. Well, I appreciate all of the comments on that. That is great. All right. Let's keep on going. And John, if I missed something in the comments, please let me know. They're fast and furious today. We've got a lot popping up in there. All right. So what's up next? Here we go. New ways to get inspired with generative AI in search. Okay. So remember we were talking about how you could sign up for the search labs. I think I've still got that on the other screen there. So, going into search labs and signing up for that. Well, one of the new things they added to search labs is the ability now to create images inside of Google search. And so basically the idea is if I think I've shown this before, like I'll just I'll bring over my search. Like if I were to come here and run a search, for something like, what is, whoops, if I could spell, that would help. What is the difference between a simile and a metaphor? I think I've used that example before, where I get this bar here that says generate AI powered overview of the search. And I can hit generate, and that will actually create a conversation with Google's AI, the AI that powers Bard. Basically, it's putting Bard inside of search. So this is part of that search labs that we talked about there. Generative AI in search, as well as searching while browsing. Like that's how we got the key points earlier, but that's also, the AI results while doing a search. Well, now they're adding in the ability to get images when we do that. I think what was the example they did? They did something with a capybara. I'll just use their example. That's fine. Draw a picture of a capybara wearing a chef's hat and cooking breakfast. So if we come back over to my search panel and we put that search in instead, we're now getting a generation portion here where it is going to make those images. And so basically this is like DALL-E 3. This is like the Canva text-to-image creator. This is like Adobe's Firefly. There are so many of these. This is like Midjourney. There are so many of these text-to-image creators, but now it's just built right there into search. So if I like these, that's fantastic. But of course, I can always click on one of these, and then I can export it, I can download it, send it to my Google Drive, or I can go in and edit it some more. If I hit edit, I can go in and make little tweaks to the actual prompt. So it took my prompt in and adjusted it a little. I can readjust that and regenerate images based off of there. But there you go. So there are some quickly generated images. So it's amazing how many ways there are now to be able to take text to images. They just seem to be popping up left and right. I know it's been out for a while, but today early I was just playing around with the one in Padlet. Padlet has the I can't draw button that does the same thing. It generates, give it text and it makes images. There just seems to be a very common feature now, but another nice, easy way to get to it. Again, you can do that, but you've got to sign up for the search labs to be able to have access to that at the moment.
And that's only going to be in your personal accounts, correct?
At the moment, Search Labs is for personal accounts. You are correct. So basically, this is where they're testing things out.
Right.
My guess is these will eventually become just standard features, but while they're labs, while they're being tested, yes, they're not available for like a school workspace account.
So the question that I've had, Eric, from a lot of people as I've been talking about AI and how Google is going to incorporate it in with the G Suite or the Google Workspace tools. Do you see that being in the paid tier of the Google tools?
Well, it's definitely in the paid tier without a doubt, because they've shown that, for example, in Google Slides.
Right.
And that was one that, I had, excuse me, I'm getting choked up about this. It's such an emotional topic here. That was one of the things I think I showed earlier, that like with my personal account, I do have early access to that if I go insert image, I can choose create image with Duet AI.
Yeah.
And it pops that up. And so, yeah, Duet AI does include image generation. But again, it seems like Duet AI proper, the actual service, that's going to be a paid thing. This is just because I'm part of the testing group.
Right.
I would not have access to this otherwise. But yes, so I think a lot of those features are going to be built into Duet AI, but that doesn't mean that they won't also show up other places.
Right.
I'm not sure what the dividing line is going to be, because Bard is available for anybody, including this is my school account. This is my work account. So this is Bard, that's not part of the paid thing. That's just there. And Bard is supposed to be adding integration with Adobe Firefly to also generate images. That's coming too. So my gut feeling is there will always be a way around to get to stuff, but Duet AI is just going to be tighter integrated. Like you don't have to leave your document or leave your slideshow, go somewhere else, generate it, copy and paste it, download it, send it to Drive, something like that. Instead, it's just like, oh, I'm in Slides. I want the picture right now. I think we'll always be able to go to Google search and generate one, or go to Bard and generate one, and you'll just have a few more steps in it. That's my gut feeling. Don't quote me. Nobody has told me anything. I really don't have an inside scoop on that. That's just what I've been gathering so far.
Okay. Well, that's helpful to know that.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Well, I do see a lot of conversation about personal accounts and booking. So it does seem like from the chat, yes, we are talking about having a paid personal account. And yes, that is true. I do pay a little extra for my Drive storage, which does give me some of those extra things. That's the Google One program or whatever it is. All right. Good stuff. All right. I think we're getting close to the end here. Let's see. Google. Google Sheets. Yeah, Google Sheets is next. So just a simple, quick one. A new smart chip has been added to Google Sheets, and it is the rating smart chip. So if I head over to Google Sheets, and we'll make this a little bit bigger so we can actually see this here. There we go. If I go to the insert menu and I go down to smart chips, there is a new smart chip called rating. So if I choose the rating smart chip, it puts in these little stars, and now you can just click on that and pick, from 1 to 5 stars for ratings. The actual value that is being stored in the spreadsheet is a numeric value from 0 up to 5, but the representation is stars there for you. So kind of neat to have that as a quick, easy option there. All right. And let's see anything else. The last thing that I have here, then I did see a comment. So we will go back up. The last thing I selected was an update to Bard, and that is improved summarization of emails. So let me show you that. And I'm going to have to pull over my personal Google Bard because that is not something that's available for the education accounts yet. So in Bard, you may remember about was it a month ago? They introduced extensions where if you go up and click on the little puzzle piece in there, you can get these extensions for flights, hotels, maps, WORKSPACE, YouTube, and WORKSPACE includes Gmail. So basically, these extensions, if you turn them on, it lets Bard talk to your Gmail, talk to YouTube, talk to Google Maps. Well, it was okay, but it wasn't great. A lot of us who tested this out noticed that when you'd ask it to find a particular Gmail message, it wasn't always accurate. It wasn't always finding the messages. So I'm not sure what they did, but if you look at their updates here, the most recent updates include better summarization of emails, that it can look at more emails at one time. It has a better understanding of what is a recent email versus an older email. So I think I have an example here. Let me copy the prompt. I had it typed up earlier so I wouldn't have to waste time trying to type it. So if I come here and let's get back over to now. There we go. Okay, here I'm back. We need to be. There we go. If I come here and I type in this prompt, give me a summary of my recent Gmail messages from the GEG Ohio group. If I put that prompt in and let it run, what Bard is doing is it's actually contacting my Gmail. It's talking to my Gmail, and hopefully it's finding GEG Ohio at googlegroups.com messages. And hopefully we'll get a little summary of some of the recent messages there. Again, it's better than it was before. So maybe it'll keep getting better, but hey, there you go. So yep, there we go. Here are some recent messages, and it's giving me just the blurb of what was going on in these messages. So that helps me to be able to get a quick summary of what's been going on. So good to see that getting better than it was initially there. All right. So those are all the things I had pulled out, but I did see something over here. Tom had said he posted a question about passkeys and existing passwords. So Tom, thanks for asking. And I wonder, I don't know if you meant that you put that down in the Q&A as well. Yes, looks like it's down here. So that's something that refers to that earlier update. If you add a passkey to your account, your password still works, doesn't it? If so, doesn't that mean you still need to make your password strong? Do you need to have dual factor turned on in order to use passkeys? So I apologize. I have not dived deep into passkeys yet. I know that is an important thing to do because it is something that Google is moving to. What I can say for sure is it does not get rid of your password. No, you absolutely still have your password. If you turn on like a passkey, what it would mean is I could unlock like my, my device using other methods like fingerprint or face recognition or something like that. rather than a traditional password, but I would still have my password. My password would not have gone away. And yeah, that would mean that you would definitely still want strong passwords. Does it require having two-step authentication turned on? Probably so. I have it on for every one of my accounts, though. I always use multi-factor two-step authentication. So I already have that on anyway. So if somebody here is more of an expert on this, we would love to hear from you. John, do you know much about
Well,
the whole passkey movement?
I'm going to mention that in the Google group that we have that you were just talking about, there is some people that responded to your post from yesterday.
Okay.
And if you scroll down in that, there's actually a discussion, and Ryan Collins gives a very nice explanation about
of course
public and private keys and all of that stuff. Chris Spackman was asking about pass keys. So it's definitely something that people are interested in, probably something we need to dig into and maybe look at in a future meeting.
Yes, I do. You are right. Ryan Collins. Ryan is a wealth of technical knowledge. His response was that think of passkeys as a password that's entered once. You unlock it on the device. How you unlock it on your device depends on the options available, such as, Face ID and things like that. I have not turned it on yet, though. So I don't want to speak to this because we've already plumbed the depth of my knowledge of it. I have not enabled passkeys on any of my accounts yet. So yeah, John, I think that sounds like a good follow-up for us to do in the future. Now, if somebody else today has some feedback on this, we'd love to hear from you to clarify this for us a little bit more. But yeah, probably should be doing a deeper dive into that because obviously that's Google's thing, man. They're like, we want to go to passkeys. We want to move away from traditional passwords. So yeah, they're saying like, fingerprint, face scan, PIN, things like that being used rather than a password. All right. Well, I think that's it for the updates. There's only one thing I'm going to add that isn't, there probably was an art. I missed it if it got put out as a blog post or an update. Just heads up, Google Earth did get an update that is a little confusing at first glance. So, and again, I'm not sure. There probably was a blog post that went out. I did miss that, though. I did not catch that blog post. I'm not sure what it might have been posted on, but it just caught my attention. I was on Google Earth the other day, and it got quite a facelift. So there is a new look and feel here to Google Earth. And the Help Center does have an article. So I probably should I wonder I guess I did not add that in. I probably meant to add it in, but apparently I didn't add that in to there. But yes, we do have a bit of a facelift look to Google Earth now. Things have been moved around a little bit. The thing that I'm most concerned about is we did lose a couple things in the facelift. We still have a lot of the stuff we've had before. So, if I, go to layers, I can get to, like time lapse, which I love the time lapse tool. That's still here, which is fantastic. And I can still create projects. I can make my own projects and I can open up projects, and that's fantastic. What's missing is the Voyager section. It's not here anymore. And the Voyager section I found to be such a nice central location of high quality educational tours and contents. They now have like a separate Voyager page, but it doesn't seem to have all the stuff that used to be in it. It's not actually inside of Google Earth. Now, if somebody knows something different and can, share that with me, I would love to be proven wrong and be like, oh, it's just, here's the new button. That's where it's at. I can't find it. It does not appear that the Voyager tool is anywhere to be found inside of Google Earth anymore. So that, I think, is a real loss. I liked that. I thought it was just a very nice, simple, convenient way to get to some really good educational content. So anyway, just wanted to mention that as well. Apologies for not officially including that in, but they at least are referencing, a help page in there where they talk a little bit about some of the new layout. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and move into the next portion of our meeting, which is show and tell. Now, John, I know you've got to take off here pretty soon. Did you want to mention anything real quick out of your show and tell so that you feel free to disappear as needed?
Absolutely. I wanted to highlight, certainly we are going to be publishing Tech for Today articles on our website, and we've been working on trying to make this a little bit more user friendly. So we switched providers recently, and so but I will be publishing at least an article a week in here. So
that's excellent.
It's all of my people in our department. There's 6 of us, so I think that our collective knowledge, we need to start contributing
wonderful.
more back to the community. The second thing, Goblin Tools.
Yeah,
Have you looked at that?
Yeah.
So this particular one, go to Formalizer.
Yeah.
Now Formalizer, and then click on the Make My Text, that drop-down menu right there. So I've been using this, and really this is designed for the neurodivergent folks who have difficulty sometimes in really focusing on all the things that something can do. This is let's say a subset of what AI can do as far as modifying a bit of text. But I specifically like the one in there when I'm explaining it to teachers that said, you could write, how about if you write something as if you would want to write it, and then experiment with making it, and you can make it more snarky, for example.
Right.
You can make it sarcastic. And
so
I think,
exactly. So I'll show you. I'm just going to copy something from some notes I had here. When I've shown this in the past, and we can do the formalizer as well. What I've usually shown people is the one that's called the judge,
right,
which is what is the tone of text. And so, like, for example, I had some text that was intentionally sarcastic about camping and how awesome camping is, and so it's written in a very sarcastic tone. But the idea is, if the person who's using this tool feels like I might misread tone of things sometimes, I don't feel like I'm always picking up on the connotations that are in the words, you can drop that in there, hit judge, and it's going to read through there and try to give you some feedback on this writing seems to, there you go. It is sarcastic and exaggerated. And it's explaining why that's the case.
Right.
So if I took formalizer and I put that in there, I could say, okay, this is very sarcastic. I need to make this less snarky, and I could hit convert, and it is now going to give me a new version of that. So it's more of an emotional type of a tool, in that, taking text and changing how emotional or snarky or polite or professional or sociable or whatever it might be. And then that kind of segues me into the next back in the menu there thing that I had there. This Teaching with AI. Resources for teachers who want to learn more about AI, and it's actually from OpenAI itself. Correct. And I started digging into some of these, but if you look at those, it's interesting. Those prompts there are much more complex prompts than perhaps we've looked at before. Yes. Because you're actually leading the AI through a process where it will then interact, and I'm thinking that eventually you could create a virtual tutor for a student where you prime it with what information it needs to know, and then the student interacts with the AI. And so I'm starting to see some of those kinds of applications. So the AI train is speeding up as it's leaving the station, and there's
these second generation tools are really showing a whole lot of promise. So
Absolutely.
check out this site. There's a couple, and then on the right there, that video by the Molochs. They're from
Yes.
they have given some really
Yes.
good suggestions for teachers in understanding how to interact with AI and how you actually construct a prompt. And so,
Yes.
back to the point you had about it being snarky, you can put text into, say, ChatGPT, and you can ask it, what is the tone of this? And so you can understand how your writing is perceived as well. So it's quite interesting once you start to dive into these things. So there's just a couple of resources that that I came across this month.
Well, and I'm glad thank you so much for mentioning those. And I'm glad you called out the Molochs, because Ethan Moloch has a really good website called One Useful Thing. I'll pull it up here and drop it in. And you can, sign up to get, it sent to you. But he dives deeply into AI usage, and especially with a educational slant on things. Really very thoughtful, very in-depth articles that he writes. And something I have pulled from him is exactly what you're saying: better prompts. I've used this exact prompt in some of the trainings I've done when I talk about, okay, instead of saying, write a lesson plan about photosynthesis, hit submit. Nah, that's okay. But, instead do this, give this prompt, and then, see what you get as a result. The same thing with, helping students learn. I did this one too. This one was really great, where I had it go through and basically, instead of just saying, explain a topic to me, explain, photosynthesis, it walks the AI through questioning, what is your knowledge on it, and why are you interested in it, and what do you know about it so far? What would you like to learn? And then, so I think that is such a neat thing. I think we call it prompt crafting, right? Go from just these simple one sentence prompts to things that are way more involved. I will say, to pull off a prompt like this, you do need a rather robust AI tool. I will say that ChatGPT 4 does a fantastic job handling these multi-step prompts. And then Anthropic's Claude 2 also does a really good job. Bard does fall short on, once they get a few too many steps in there, I find Bard has a hard time following all the steps, or it tries to do all of them at once. It has a really hard time pausing and letting you respond and then moving on to step 2 and then step 3. It just wants to go blah, 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 through all of them. So I'm hoping Bard will continue to develop in that sense. But I would say ChatGPT 4, or if you're not familiar with Claude is the one from Anthropic. So Claude.ai. Anthropic is one of the other major AI creators out there. You've got Google, you've got Meta, you've got OpenAI, you've got Anthropic. Those are some of the massive ones out there. Claude is free. I mean, there's a paid version if you want, but it's free. And the free version is, I would put it on par or right close to ChatGPT 4. It is very powerful.
Nice.
It does a really nice job. So thank you for sharing all.
No problem. And
Goblin was great as well as that. Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. We will keep on going. John did have another. Thanks, John. John had another meeting he needed to get to. So I wanted to make sure John got his show and tell in there. Now, we might have, Denny or Stephanie join us still yet today. I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for them and see if they pop in. If not, I will mention their resources if they don't join in. But while we're waiting to see if they do join in, let's go ahead and finish up with what we got in show and tell for right now. So as far as my show and tell this week, I've already mentioned several of these things, so I won't go through all of them again. For example, my Fig Jam webinars, we already talked about that. And the Chromebook Plus, we already talked about that. Curicon, we already talked about that. So I've hit a bunch of these. What haven't I covered? So one thing that I did post recently was a new calendar template for next school year. I always feel like it's too early to do this, but I always get emails around this time of year. Every year, somebody's going, "Hey, Eric, do you have next year's calendar template ready yet?" I'm like, "Really? It's October," And I'm like, "Okay." And so this is something I started doing years ago. Somebody in the office where I work said, "Hey, I really like a certain format." And this is what the format looked like. I like this format of a one-page calendar for the year, August through July, where you've got, the little teeny inset calendars, and then next to their spaces to write. So that basically what you wind up with is something like this, where you've got, on the side, the days with what the events are, and then you can color code in the different dates to match those and explain what those color codings are. They saw that template somewhere and they really liked it, but they didn't know how to replicate it in Google Docs. So I created this template. It's just a bunch of tables. There's nothing fancy about it. I didn't do any magic here at all. It's just a bunch of little tables inside of tables. And there it is. It creates this template. And so I started doing this years ago. And if you're one of those people that are way ahead of the game and you're already planning for 24, 25, those calendar templates are now available. I've got a 10, 11, and 12-month version of those, and they're free to just make copies of and use however you would like. And of course, previous years are all on the blog as well there. So, what else did I share recently? Super Tutor. So I did do another AI post at the beginning of October with another 1 hour training video. So I've been trying to do these periodically. I think I'm up to about 5 videos now that are each about an hour long each on AI. This one focuses on supporting students. So basically, it covers how to use tools like ChatGPT and Bard and so forth for, to support reading and writing and so forth. But then I get into other AI tools that are specific for student support, like Diffit, EduAid, Magic School AI, Brisk. There's Goblin tools that John mentioned. There it is, and other AI tools that are out there. And so this one's really all about supporting students. That's the focus that we drill down into for this one. It's a 1 hour video, and of course the slideshow and the resource document and everything's there. If you do go into that resource document, you can, of course, get all the same links that are here in the blog post. It just depends how you prefer to consume it. Also, I've been trying to pull all of my AI things together in one place. And so the easiest way to get to that is just my resources tab. So if you're on Control-Alt-Achieve and you click the resources tab and then you click AI. So go to resources and go to AI. And here you'll find, I'm trying to put it all in one place. So for example, for the videos, here are those videos I was talking about. They're about an hour long each. General AI, a Google AI, managing AI, coding with AI, supporting students with AI. I've got several more still coming, just haven't got them all recorded yet, but I've got about 2 or 3 others that I've got in the works that I'll be adding into here as well. And as always, those are always free to use any way that you would like to. And then lastly, from my show and tell, since it's Halloween time, I just wanted to always give a shout out to some of the fun Halloween activities that I've done in the past with googly tools. And so this is a post from last year, nothing new. It's just a year-old post, but all the stuff is still good in there. These are 4 different googly Halloween activities. I've got my build a jack-o'-lantern with Google Slides activity. I've got my Rebus stories with Google Docs activity. I've got my drag and drop poetry with Google Drawings. and I've got my Skittles and Sheets math activity with Google Sheets. And so you're hitting all the tools. You got sheets and drawings and docs and slides, and they're all Halloween themed. Great way to pick up some technology skills, but also work on content, creative writing, math skills, things like that. Again, all of that's free. Feel free to make copies of all of those templates and use them with your students however you would like. Good stuff. All right. So those are some of my updates there. Let's see. Stephanie is joining us. Hey, Stephanie, like you timed it so perfectly. I was just about to say, and Stephanie's not here, so I'll share her stuff. But no, I don't have to. You're here.
And I love the Eric Ross. It's great.
Yeah, that is my go-to Halloween costume. I actually have I could probably find it. Maybe I'll find it while you're sharing. I think back in my boxes here, I think I've got the wig back there. So we'll see. Maybe we can pull that out. Would you like to share your screen? Would that be easier?
I'll share so you can search
okay.
For the wig.
Excellent. So let me go ahead and get you up there. I think you are good to go there, Stephanie.
Great. Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, Luis. It's good to see everyone in the chat and joining in. So some of my shares for October is the CR math resource. There were some conversations about using math, right, with kind of technology and problem solving. And so this resource right here, you put the problem that you want your students to solve, and then they will show their answer. So usually what happens is to show that final answer, students have to solve it. So they're going to go down to this box, and I kind of co-created this with Tim. We were kind of collaborating on Twitter. I don't call it X, but we were collaborating on Twitter, and we were just talking about how CER, I had like 3 columns, and he was like, why don't we make this kind of like a FRAIR model? And so what students will do is they can come on here and highlight all of the important information. After they highlight, they can explain how they solved to get their final answer of 22. Then they're able to come over here and use the text tool to write that kind of claim to show their final answer. After that, they go in, they can add a reasoning. And you can see here in Kami, I was able to add audio recordings for my reasoning. And then students can respond this way. So again, I've seen a lot of, just like what Kristen said in the chat, there's a lot of claim, evidence, and reasoning in science. And I saw it a lot there, but I've never seen it in math. And so Tim and I we're kind of collaborating, like, how can we add this to math? So that way students are practicing CER in all different kinds of subjects, and they're really gaining that deep understanding of this skill. My next share is guess the main idea. So this is another idea that someone kind of had. And what happens is on this activity, students will listen to a story. So with Halloween coming up, maybe you create a creepy story. So you could also go to ChatGPT, have it text some type of story that it comes up with. And what the students have to do is they're working in collaborative groups. So they've got group 1, group 2, 3, and 4. And if you need more groups, there's this slide with the rest of the groups. And students work and they listen to that story, and they have to come up with a title. So students will collaborate together, whatever they listen to on that title. You could also have them read the story if you don't want to record your voice. But with Halloween coming, I feel like you could make this really creepy. After that, students then will vote for their favorite story title that they think matches the either audio version or the story. And then at the very end, they are going to write an analysis. So they will talk about what title they prefer, the evidence from the story that supported the title, like where did they come up with this? What maybe evidence really stuck out for it? And then they're going to explain why they picked this title. So again, just a fun activity to kind of just maybe have students guess the main idea or to work on textual evidence alongside with your students. And then with Halloween coming up, go ahead and put in the chat, how you are feeling. Are you a number 1? Are you a number 9? And so this is just a fun check-in that you could use with your students coming up for Halloween. And they can either fill out a Google form, or students can just do really quick and they can hold their fingers up. It's kind of up to you. Multiple ways that you could ship this out to your students. And so after looking at this, the must do is they have to comment on a number. So they're going to come here, put their name. You could also have your students drag their little image to how they're feeling, and then they can write an explanation. So again, just kind of a fun activity for your students to do around Halloween, where it's that like on a scale, this number 8 pumpkin is cracking me up. And I just love it. Number 9, maybe they had too much candy. And if you wanted to, you could have them do all parts, or you could do it kind of like a must do, should do, aspire to do activity, where they have to comment on the number matching the jack-o'-lantern. So they're going to say like number 2. So that's like, you have to do that. The should do would be they comment, then they have to write that explanation. So this would be the should do. But then you could take this a step further, and they have to connect with someone for that aspire to do. And they have to choose someone that maybe has the same number as them. So if I pick number 2, I'm looking for other number 2s. And we're going to have a conversation about why we picked number 2 and build just some connections. So again, if you're interested in this, this could be a great activity for Halloween. And then we have got scary stations. So when we're looking at scary stations, this is probably more 6th grade and up is what I would suggest for this activity. There is this podcast here, and I kind of took this idea and modified it from the Teaching Middle School ELA podcast. But there is a podcast on here that's very, very creepy. And what happens is students listen to the podcast, and they have to write an ending to the podcast. So they're going to work with a partner, and they are then going to come up with an ending for this activity. So again, here's where they will write or their prediction for that end of the story. Another activity that you could do is you can split this up, because in the story, it talks about her being naked in a bathtub. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing that with your students on the website, you're able to go in and take the audio pieces and crop it. It was on my old school account, and those got deleted. So those are no longer available. So I apologize by that. But right here, you just click this button and you can crop it. And again, there is a part where she's like in the bathtub. So if you want to pause it right there, or if you want to zoom it forward, you might just want to. Some teachers are okay with it. Some are like, no, I'm not playing that. But again, the story is really good, whether or not you have that part in your podcast. But I just want to put that there. And then after students write the rest of the story, you can have them listen to what actually happens. So I kind of like take the 15 minutes and 36-second mark, have the students write what they think is going to happen, and then they hit play and they hear the rest of the story. And then you can have students kind of compare and contrast their story with what actually happened with the rest of the story. So again, having students go back and forth and kind of comparing, contrasting what actually happened. And then another activity that students could do, this is one of my favorites, is the Mysteries of Harris Verdict. And what students can do is they will have the 8 parts, which this is an EDGI protocol. And so students have these amazing images right here. And with these images, they then will pick their image. They're going to then place their guess on which illustration goes with this image. So again, they're going to pick an image first. They're not going to tell anybody what image they picked. They're just going to pick an image. And so after students pick an image, they're going to write their story. So they're going to type up their story from these images from Harris Verdict. And after they write their story, they are then going to place their guess on which illustration they think this goes with. So they're going to have a partner that has to guess based on the story what image. After that, they have to write and explain textual evidence that goes along with why they selected this image. So partner 1, again, writes their published story. If you want to, you can have them read it and get very, very creepy with it. Sometimes if you want them to work on their tone of voice or something like that. And then partner 2, after the story's published, and if you want that audio file, they're going to come over here. They're going to grab that illustration, and then they have to provide, again, textual evidence as to why they picked this image to go with that published story. And then you can decide who got it correct and who got it wrong. And so how I use the 8 parts is just to help with the published story. It's more of a brainstorm for students. I have them think about what tone do they want to tell their story in. What 10 words do they want to use? What's the mood of the story? What's some vocabulary words that we could use in this story? And then they come up with their title, and they come up with like their story using just some helpful graphic organizers to kind of help them organize their thoughts and ideas for this mystery. And then finally, another spooky idea is haunted house. So you'll have this slide up. You'll be playing this music that's spooky sounds for Halloween just to set the tone. And what your students will do is they're going to listen to this episode from the Criminal Minds, and it talks about how to sell a haunted house. So again, if you want to, you can download it and crop it if you want to. That's why I love using their podcast. But I've got my story ready, and what students are going to do is they first are going to have a silent debate where there's no talking, and they have to answer these questions. So usually what I do is I will print these out, hang them all around the room, and students will use Post-it notes, and they will do a silent debate where there's no talking. So again, I might play the spooky sounds. That's kind of up to you. But then after they listen to it, they're going to then answer these questions around the room. So are there such things as ghosts? Students are going to answer that question. They're going to then go to the next poster, answer the next question. Again, everything is very silent. At the end of that discussion, they're then going to create their haunted house. So down here is their brainstorm where they have to create an imaginary address where they might become very, very creepy or spooky with their address. They're then going to come up with how many bedrooms, bathrooms, what's nearby for their haunted house. They're then going to brainstorm different items they're going to find in their haunted house. And then 3 main parts about that house. And it's very, very detailed with detailed descriptions. After students do that, the last part is they are going to create a haunted house advertisement. So with their house, they are going to now be a realtor, and they have to either use Canva, maybe a piece of paper. It can be non-digital, or maybe a Google slide. You might have other options. And after they create this flyer about their haunted house, they will try to sell it. So again, it's just kind of fun for students to get really creative with just some of these imaginary addresses, the descriptions. And again, this story is just really interesting to listen to. So have fun this Halloween with those couple ideas. And would love to hear what ideas you have in the chat, or if you have a link, add them on here. So on here, it looks like we've got a couple community shares. So just keep adding your own ideas if you have any.
Wonderful. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much. I'm so glad the timing was perfect there. Oh, there we go. Yes. I've got my Bob Ross wig there. Yes, I think over the years, the color differential between my beard and the hair has started to become a little too drastic, and I think my wig is the wrong color. It needs to be a little more gray at this point. But yeah. There's the Bob Ross wig. All right. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen back up here, and we'll carry on. So again, Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing. As always, so many great resources there. Be sure to join Stephanie's Google group so that you can get easy access to all those things all the time. Sarah isn't able to be with us today, but please sign up for her Tech You Can Do weekly newsletter. I look forward to getting that every week. Always great things that she shares in there. And don't think Denny's able to join us either today, but he has shared recently a presentation he did on edu protocols. I know that Stephanie is a big EduProtocols user and expert. I am a novice in it, but learning more and more about it. This looks like a really nice presentation that Denny has shared with us on some key information about different EduProtocols out there. So I appreciate him putting that in the document for us to explore. Awesome. Now, outside of the things we have shared, we always encourage you guys to share from the community. Please still do. If there's something you want to add in here, there's still plenty of time to come down here and add to the bullet point here for community show and tell. Looks like Dan. Thanks, Dan. Dan is up at NeoNet. He's sort of a counterpart to what I do at the Stark County Educational Service Center at Spark. He does this up at NeoNet. Dan's got some really nice graphics he's put together here. Jamboard alternative. So we talked about FigJam, but he's got information here on 10 different ideas for Jamboard alternatives. And then some good tips and tricks for AI, the do's and don'ts for teachers about, what to use AI for, but what not to do with it, such as, having it be a substitute rather than, a supplement, or blindly trusting everything that it generates. So Dan, thanks for creating these, but more so, thank you so much for sharing them with us. We appreciate that. All right. Well, that's going to bring us to the last portion, which is Q&A. We don't have a whole lot of questions this time around, and that's fine. No worries. Still feel free. If there's something you want to add, you can drop the question in there. If there's something you want to put in the show and tell or the upcoming events, please do that. We'll take one last look through. But let's see. I know we already did address this question earlier about pass keys. So let's take a look at the other questions that did pop up. There was a question here about the online version of Photoshop. Is it going to be available in the free Adobe Express for Education suite, or is it a separate subscription? So I think Tom Mulaney added this in, saying that it is a separate subscription. So I appreciate that. I don't know that I would have known for sure how it was going to work out for education with that, because education does get free access to the Adobe Express for Education suite. But according to what Tom shared there, it sounds like that the online version of Photoshop is still going to be a separate subscription. Now, having said that, the only thing I know about it is that did come up in Google's blog post about Chromebook Plus that we were talking about earlier. So remember when we were talking about Chromebook Plus and we mentioned how, these are the new Chromebooks that have more power, yada, yada, yada. One thing I didn't mention was that in addition to some of the cool features that they're getting, if you buy a Chromebook Plus model, you do get 3 months of free access to Adobe Photoshop on the web and Adobe Express. So for anybody who does get a Chromebook Plus model, you do get at least 3 months free of the Adobe Photoshop on the web tool. But as far as ongoing use, it does sound like that is still a separate subscription for schools. And then there was a quick question about the Chrome Canvas tool. Is it collaborative? We had looked at Chrome Canvas earlier as a very simple whiteboard tool. No, it is not collaborative. There's not a share button. It's really just a way for you to draw on the screen. If you are doing a screencast, you're recording yourself, or you're putting it up on the projector to show the students as you're working out a problem, or the students are doing the same thing. So no, that is not, but boy, that would be a really nice thing. Yep, I agree. If they just added a collaboration feature to that, at least it would give an option that we don't have right now for an easy way to draw together in a Google tool. All right, good stuff. Well, hey, I think if I take a quick look here, I think that is it. So let's do this. Let me do a quick little pass through and see if there's anything else that we have missed. But before I do that, I'll just remind everybody that everything that we looked at today, all of these resources can always be found at bit.ly/GEG Ohio. That gets you back to our main GEG Ohio webpage. And from there, if you go to monthly meetings, that will allow you to then be able to come down and see all of the links for the past meetings as well as the upcoming ones. Our next meeting is November 29th. So the end of November, we'll have an agenda link and a live video link for that as well. And as a reminder, please do sign in if you haven't already. On page 2, highlighted in green, is the sign in link to allow me to send you a certificate of attendance for being a part of this meeting today. So let me take a quick look. I'll zoom out just a bit so I can make sure I see everything. Is there anything we missed? And this is a great time too. If you want to throw something in the chat, this is it. This is your chance. Drop things in the chat if there's something that we have not covered, or a comment, a question, whatever. I don't see anything new in the upcoming events. Okay, that's great. That was the comment we saw earlier. And then in show and tell, I don't see anything new there, or Q&A. I think that's it. I think we were able to manage everything there today. So I'm going to take a quick look, and it looks like in the chat, we're just getting some folks saying thanks. I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, whether you joined us live or if you're watching the recording later. It just means a lot that you take this time to learn. I'm excited to see what you do with all of these new tools and ideas. So please join the group, share your ideas, stay in touch in between by joining the GEG Ohio Google group. And until next month, end of November, when we get back together, I hope you have a fantastic next month. So take care, everybody, and we will see you again real soon.